Okay. Okay, good morning, class. So we'll continue our discussion on word sense disambiguation. And if you recall, last Saturday, what we have said is semantic information in a language or in any conversation, whether it's written or spoken, can be documented using different approaches. If you remember, the first thing that we have seen to represent semantics is what we call semantic features, where in semantic feature, what we do is for each and every word that we are interested to keep the information for, we try to assign positive or negative or plus or minus to indicate whether that semantic feature is possessed by the word. If you remember, we said for words like boy, we said adult would be minus, movable would be plus, living thing would be plus, fluid will be negative. So it means what we call living thing, fluid, young, or adult would be the features. That's what we call is a semantic feature. And if you recall, we had some examples earlier like this one for each of the words that we have in here. Mind you, these are the words that we have. And for each of them, the columns are representing the words, whereas the rows are representing the semantic features. So we assign plus or minus for each and every word. As you can see, the feature human or the feature female is not the meaning of the word, mind you. That's why we say semantics goes beyond what we have in a dictionary as a meaning or as a definition for the word. It is about gathering as much feature as possible for every word. So animate is just a feature. So we have to check whether this feature is possessed by the word. Like for a table, animate would be negative, but we know that a horse can animate, a boy can animate, a man can animate, a girl can animate, and a woman also can animate. So by assigning this, we can actually represent semantic of a word. The other, if you remember, we said is a semantic role. And you also had an exercise, right? There were 4 sentences given to you for which you are going to, or you are expected to assign a semantic role. So every sentence would have words, and the words have a role to play. And those roles are what we call semantic roles that the words might have. And these are what, some of the semantic roles that we have seen. A word can be an agent in a sentence, can act as a theme, experiencer, instrument, location, source, and info. And we had some examples in here, and this was the exercise that was given to you. The other one, the third type of semantic representation that we have is lexical relation. Mind you, in a language, you can have hundreds of thousands of words, and those words are not going to be, understood in an isolated manner. We know that words are going to relate with one another. You know about synonym, Adela, David. Synonym means words, that are having, similar meaning. We also have antonym, where words have opposite meaning. So you can actually create a kind of a relationship between the words using their lexical relation. So as we said last time, whenever you say big, the word big can have a dictionary meaning. But beyond that, you can relate it with another word called large, or you can relate it with another word called small. Mind you, this is not a meaning of the word, but you can say big and large are related using a synonym, what we call a relation, and big and small might be related using the antonym. So mind you, we're not talking about the definition of the words, rather the possible relationship that they can have, okay? So we said, what is the meaning of duck? Duck can be an animal or hiding your head. So beyond the dictionary definition, we can actually create a relationship. So a lexical relation explains the meaning in terms of a relationship with other words, okay? This is very important. Beyond the definition, beyond the dictionary definition, it tries to create a relationship between words whether, two or more words are related with one another. And those lexical relations that we can create can be using synonym, antonym, hyponyms, homophones, homonyms, and polysemy. And we have many other if possible. So as we said last time, we have tried to see this one last time as well. Synonym means words have, same meaning or at least closely related meaning. But we also say that same meaning doesn't mean that one can substitute the other in a sentence. In some cases, it's not possible. So answer and reply almost nearly, broad and wide, buy and purchase, freedom and liberty, as you can see, they have, sameness, to some level. So synonyms, we know that they also differ in formality or in the way that you use them in a sentence. The other lexical relation that we have seen is antonym. So antonym is concerned about words that are having opposite meaning, which means they are representing, different things like small and big. We have seen it earlier, hot and cold. But we also have said that some of them are gradable, which means you can measure it. Some of them are not gradable, which means you cannot measure those things. Okay. So as we said last time, if it is gradable, we know that there is a difference, or one is the antonym of the other, but you can measure it. Like the difference between small and big can be measured using either kilogram or whatever. The difference between hot and cold can be measured using a measurement tool. Non-gradables are also antonyms, or antonyms can also be non-gradables, but we know that we cannot, measure it somehow. Like dead and alive are antonyms; they are opposite, but you cannot measure it. We have asleep and awake, happy and sad, present and absent, married and single. So antonym is concerned about having a relationship with, opposite meaning. The other one is hyponymy. Hyponymy is concerned about words whose meaning are a specific instance of a more general word, which means we're talking about superclass and subclass, or generalized class and specialized classes. So one is a kind of the other. So if you see the words cat and dog, mind you, we're not talking about meaning at this stage. Of course, it contributes to the meaning of the word, but it is about creating a relationship between words. So the word animal, I mean, in the language, you have the word cat, you have the word dog, you also have the word animal. So the relationship between these two is animal is a general class or a superclass, whereas cat and dog is a special class. So the idea in here is whatever cats and dogs do can, be represented under the umbrella of animals. So whatever an animal do can be, cascaded to or can be inherited by cats and dogs, because an animal is, a broader class. So in this case, as I said, cats and dogs are, co-hyponyms, and they share the same superclass, and that superclass is animal. Like carrots, the relationship between carrot and vegetable is also hyponymy. The relationship between ant and insect is also what we call hyponymy, which means one is a superclass of the other, or one is a specialized class of the other. So you can have such kind of hierarchical relationship between words. So in a way, we are creating a relationship between words. Mind you, we are talking about lexical relation, which means a relation between words. We are not simply trying to give a dictionary definition for words, rather we try to understand how words are going to be related. The other one is homophones and homonyms. So what we call homonymy is words which have two or more entirely distinct, you see, totally unrelated meaning. So it means the word is the same, the spelling is the same, the pronunciation is the same, but the meaning, or it can have multiple meanings beyond one. Okay, so if you see the word bank, it can be the financial institution or the river bank. If you see the word bat, it can be a flying creature, or a device that you use in a sport. A race can be a contest for a speed, like people can race in Olympics or in athletics, and it can also mean ethnic group. Mind you, it is the same word, but having an entirely unrelated and different meanings, and we call them homonyms. The other one is homophony. Homophone, as you can see from the name itself, it is concerned about the sound. Do you remember phonology? Phonology, phonetics, it is concerned about sound. So here we are talking about different words pronounced the same but spelled, differently. Like if you see the word two, all of them are pronounced as two, but as you can see, the spelling is quite different. Their meaning is quite different. Flower, duቄቱን ማለት ነው, and አበባ, flower, meat and meat, right and right. As you can see, they are spelled differently, but they are pronounced the same. Mind, it's not only the spelling that's different, the meaning is also different. The other one is polysemies, which is words having multiple meanings, but the meaning is related with some kind of extension. One can be having some kind of extension to the other. Like if you see the word bright, you can say he's bright, or you can say the room is bright. And both are referring to some state of situation. Like it can mean shining or it can mean intelligent. He's bright, then it means his mind is open, he's intelligent. At the same time, you can say bright, it might mean a room filled with light. Okay, so you can have the word head, for example, which can be head of a body, a human being, or it can be a person at the top of the company. Mind you, as you can see, they are referring to, the first one is referring to the head of a human body, but as you can see, it is found at the top. And that is extended to mean a person who is leading a company, to mean that he's at the top of the organization. So as you can see, the meaning is somehow related by extension. If you have the word foot, it can be foot of a human being or a body, or it can be a foot of a mountain, which means it's found underneath, and it can also mean the foot of a bed or a chair, which means something that you find, below, or you can have words like run, like a person can run, but we also say the water runs. What does it mean? The water is, flowing step by step. Or you can also say my program is running. So what does it mean? The program is being executed one step at a time, so one instruction or one command at a time. Just like a person, running, where he used, step by step, using, the left and the right leg, which means taking a step one by one, just like running a program. So we call this polysemies ይባላሉ, and this is a kind of relationship that you create. The fifth type of semantic representation that we have is, we call it word collocation. To mean that whenever people use words in a sentence, they are going to be, or people are very careful in selecting the words they use with other words. So whenever you refer to the word, for example, chair, are you referring to a person who is leading a department, like chair of a department, or the furniture chair? To really identify that, looking into the words that are found near that word or within the sentence are going to be very important. So words tend to occur with other words. They don't simply occur in a sentence. They have some, preference. So this is going to be very important for distinguishing one over the other. For instance, in a sentence, if you find the word table and chair somewhere close to one another, then you can say that the word chair is referring to the furniture and not that of a head of a department. Butter and bread, salt and pepper, hammer and nail, all these words, they tend to occur together if you are referring to one contextual meaning. So this is a very important thing. Mind you, we have seen what we call collocation, we have seen semantic role, we have seen lexical relation. We also, have tried to understand semantic feature as a means of representing. Okay. So we have seen this different kind of semantic representation. As you can see, what we have said is semantics is not simply about the meaning of a word. It goes beyond that. You see, meaning is not only about the dictionary definition. Rather, it is about the neighboring words. It's also about the semantic role it plays in a sentence. It's also about other additional features a word can have. Okay, so there are so many things that you can relate semantics with. So we're going to see more details very shortly about this. So the other high-level language understanding that we have is pragmatics and discourse. If you remember, we talked a little bit about these things previously. So pragmatics is concerned about the structure and the pattern in a discourse. Mind you, discourse means conversation. It is about, you know, a specific topic. So pragmatics is concerned about the structure and the pattern in a specific conversation or in a specific discourse. So it's about the use of language, how you can use language in a context. So a sentence standing alone might not mean anything, you know, sometimes. If you remember, if you have a sentence like, I like it, it's a sentence by itself. I like it, right? But what do you like? To give a meaning for this sentence, you have to go beyond the sentence. You have to see what happened, you know, previously. That's why we call it a discourse. Discourse is a conversation beyond the sentence. So what information is contained in a contextual sentence is not conveyed in an actual sentence. This is what we want to do. In pragmatics, we are concerned about, mind you, in a specific sentence, in the actual sentence, there is some piece of information. But what is the information that is not conveyed in that sentence? You might have even greater thing than that. Let me give you one sentence, for example. Whenever you say, this, what does it mean? Time flies like an arrow. Does it mean time is, you know, having a physical representation? It's not. So it is only pragmatics that helps you to understand the information beyond this sentence. Mind you, this sentence is not a mere definition of the words, right? እኛም በአማርኛም ብዙ አለን አይደለ? ለምሳሌ በቀደም እንዳልነው ምን ይጠበስ ስንል ምን ማለታችን ነው? Mind you, the meaning is beyond these words. It's beyond this sentence. And pragmatics is concerned about understanding the meaning beyond this. For example, in English, if you say you are smart, then do I mean you are really smart? Especially if the previous sentence is you scored 5 out of 25 ብዬ ከዛ በኋላ oh you're smart, but do I mean that you are smart? No, it doesn't mean that. So pragmatics is concerned about getting information beyond the sentence. Okay, so we are trying to identify information that is not conveyed in the sentence. So that's why we say it is concerned about the use of language in a specific context. And the context is the sentence itself, right? You see, the previous conversation is what we call the context. So the computation of the speech act, you see, the speech act intended by the speaker. You see, we are concerned about the intention of the speaker, not the mere definition of the words that we have. Okay, will be highly context dependent. We call it highly context dependent because the context is, you know, defined by the words that are used previously, the words that are used in the previous sentence, or even beyond that. So we want to recover the meaning, you know, to that level. So a discourse, as I said earlier, is a context will make the utterance to be even more complicated, you see? So discourse has an information structure, or it is about the topic, higher level topic like discourses. It is beyond a single word, it's beyond a phrase. I mean, a phrase, it is beyond a sentence itself. So one example is co-reference resolution. As we said, resolving a pronoun reference is one of the challenges that we have. As you can see, I read the book by Addis Alamayo Kalkwala. It was great. It, the pronoun it, is referring to the book. Which book? The book by Addis Alamayo. So as you can see, you have to go beyond a single sentence to get the meaning, and that's what we call is discourse. That's why we say discourse is about a topic. It's having a higher definition. And for instance, you can say we gave the monkeys the bananas because they were hungry. Mind you, the only difference between the two sentences is the word hungry and overeaten. True? Everything else is the same. But what is they referring to? They ምንን ነው refer የሚያደርገው? In the first case, they is referring to monkeys. In the second case, they is referring to banana. And you can create this association by looking into one of the word, hungry የሚል ስላለ, who is the one that can possess this property? It is monkey. Overreapers, it is a property possessed by banana. So because of this relationship, you can say the pronoun they is referring to monkeys in the first one, and it is referring to bananas in the second one. So such kind of discourse is very important for higher level language understanding. And we also have said, if you have a sentence like Almaz and yours, this is not meaningful unless in other words you have the first sentence. What is your name? You cannot actually give meaning to the second one. And this is very important in language understanding. We know that we might not go deep into such kind of analysis, but there are students or researchers doing co-reference resolution for many local languages. And it is about discourse. It is about pragmatics, what you want to communicate using a specific context. So based on what we have seen so far, if you want to do word sense disambiguation, what you have to go through is the concept of sense inventory, which means you have to collect the sense of the word. Mind you, sense doesn't mean only the dictionary meaning. It goes beyond that. So sense inventory is very critical for semantic analysis. For example, what is the sense of the word? And then depending on how it is used, it would have two different meanings. For example, if you see the homonyms like dag, it can be moving downwards quickly, which means hiding your head, or it can be a small web-footed bird. But in a specific context, the sense of the word would be only one of them. You have also seen polysemies where the same word having two totally different meanings. So the first question is, from where do you get sense of a word? From where are you going to get it? And one example is dictionary. If you go to a dictionary, you'll get some sense of the word. Or you can also have a lexical database, a database that creates a relationship between the words that you have in the language. So the question is, whenever you talk about semantics or word sense, a word can mean so many things. So even though a word can mean so many things, in a given context, the sense is going to be only one. For example, we have the word chair, so we know that the chair is ambiguous, but whenever it's used in a sentence, it will never be ambiguous. Because in that context, it's going to carry only one of the meanings that it has. A seat, it can be a seat for a person with a support at the back, or it can be a position of a professor or an academic staff leading the department. So from a dictionary, you can get the sense of the word. From a second language or translation to the second language, you can also get the sense of the word. Like in the first case, if you take it to Amharic, chair የሚለው አንደኛው ላይ ወንበር ይሆናል አንደኛው ላይ ሊቀመንበር ይሆናል ማለት ነው. As you can see, the translation is not ambiguous at all. Or you can get it from the context itself, from the sentence, the context where it occurs in. Like sit on the chair ካለን sit የሚል ነገር ካገኛችሁና chair ካገኛችሁ, it means it is the furniture. Take a seat on the chair ካለስ, again take a seat የሚለው ነገር, it refers to you that it is a chair or the furniture. What if you say the chair of the maths department or the chair of the meeting, ከሚቲንግ ጋር ካገኛችሁት, or from a department or something ካገኛችሁት, then it means you are referring to the person who is leading a department ማለት ነው. So we know that whenever you use it in a context, then the meaning or the sense is pretty much fairly understandable. So as you can see, the sense of a word can be retrieved from a dictionary or from a translation to the second language, or it can also be retrieved from the context where it occurs in. The context it occurs in means the sentence itself. So let's have a break, and we'll continue with lexical ambiguity.